Hello, and welcome in to Tater Talks, the podcast where Tater talks gaming, content creation, sports, pop culture, current events, and whatever the hell we want. I'm your host, Devin, but most of you know me as TaterBoy09. For those of you who don't know this side of me, I'm a variety content creator who streams 4 days a week right here on Twitch and posts videos to YouTube, including this podcast and highlight videos. My guest tonight is the king of retro gaming because it wasn't retro when he started. He is the host of his own podcast, Lost in the Midgard, and he's worked for EA for over 10 years. Please welcome in my friend, JBHuskers.
What's up?
What's up? How you doing? How's it going today?
Good, man. How about yourself?
I am fantastic. It's a beautiful, what is today, Tuesday? I don't even remember.
Yeah, I think I've been outside a total of 10 minutes today, though, so.
Well, I think I've been outside a total of 10 minutes like this whole month, so I think you've already got me beat there.
I went to get some food. That was about it today.
Yeah, well, that's what DoorDash is for. Come on, man.
Yeah. Yeah, but DoorDash is ridiculously expensive.
It's true. It's true. They always so you got to charge, you got to have their charge unless you pay for their $10 a month fee, and then you got to pay the, tip the driver and all that. It's a whole thing.
Yeah. The restaurant puts on a charge too, and before you know it, a $2 taco is $12.
Right. It does happen like that, but hey, that's the price for convenience, right?
Yeah, that's true.
That is true. Anyways, welcome in. It's good to have you here. Like I said, like I'd mentioned when we first did the intro there, you do also run your own podcast. So you said when you were kind of pimping the stream here tonight, you were like, it's nice to sit in the not the host seat, basically.
Yeah, I've been a host for about 5.5 years now, so it's actually probably more than 5.5 years now because, damn, we're already at August. So, we're about 260 episodes in as well. We had a summer break we took about a month off here for various reasons, and then we came back last week. So once we're done here, then I'm going to get on there, and we'll get this week's show recorded there too.
That's right. 2 for 1 we got for JBHuskers tonight. Tell everybody what your podcast is about.
Well, Lost to the Midcard is just basically a pro wrestling podcast. Nothing more, nothing less, though we will sneak in some sports every once in a while. But we talk everything within the wrestling world. It's not just one company. We talk all companies. We cover a multitude of shows. Not every show, because it's just impossible to be able to get every show in there. I barely have time to get all I do
right
watched before we do typically record on Tuesday nights and put it out sometime on and right now I'm not working right now, so I usually get it out on Wednesday afternoon, or otherwise it comes out in the evening once I start working again. So
right.
We cover WWE, AEW. We're starting to talk Impact Wrestling a lot more now, just because a lot of the WWE wrestlers that got fired, they're 90-day. They have 90-day no-compete clauses, so they were sitting at home for 90 days. Those 90 days are now up, and they can go wherever they want. So now, other shows are getting some of these guys, and so things are starting to get interesting again. Even though the pandemic has still kept things localized and no crowds, which it makes it a little boring. But overall, they still the wrestlers are still trying as hard to put good product out there. May not always be good, but they're trying and still giving us something during this time.
Yeah, it's definitely. First of all, I give props for the WWE. Well, whatever I know. I'll be straight honest. I'm completely ignorant when it comes to all kinds of wrestling because I don't really watch it. My brother, actually, Knees Dude in chat, is really, really into wrestling. So actually, I think he's caught a few of your shows before. So I'm very ignorant when it comes to wrestling. So I'll just first-handedly admit that. But whichever one was the first one to go out and actually do a show with no, fans or anything like that, that was the first kind of entertainment that we had throughout this whole, COVID thing, but they were the first people to really come out and say, you know what, we're still going to try and put as best of a show out as we possibly can. And, you know, from what I heard, you know, it was a little weird at first, but from what I heard, it still did fair enough.
Yeah, both WWE and AEW never stopped. They well, mainly because they have television deals. They have contracts they got to uphold.
Right.
WWE with USA and Fox as well, and AEW with TNT. So those shows never really stopped. And I don't think really Impact Wrestling really stopped because they would tape a month's worth of content at a time.
Oh.
So while things were shut down, they still had stuff in the can that was going on.
Gotcha.
And now they're kind of just with the other companies. They're you know, doing shows in the studio in their little localized location with no crowd, and Impact is on Access TV, which is not really on basic cable. You probably got to go a couple tiers in order to get it, but
right.
I get every channel basically here, so
Yeah.
But yeah, so they've also marched on as well. You know, obviously there's a lot of revenue lost everywhere across the board, but you know, you got to find new ways to do business after this stuff came down.
Right. The whole world is changing. Nothing will be the same after March of 2020. I'll ask you straight up, since we're kind of on the topic of sports right now. Do you think there's going to be an NFL season or any sort of fall sports for college football or college in general?
I'm not, you know, with the news of baseball, the Marlins are not going to be playing until Monday now because of so many people having COVID. You know, right now baseball is still chugging on. But then we hear, you know, there was a story out today where I think I don't know the exact number, but I think it was close to 40 NFL players have tested positive for COVID.
Yep, already. And those are just the rookies that have reported so far.
Yeah, high-profile names like Dante Hightower are not going to play this year.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely not going to be on time. Maybe an October start. I don't know. I honestly don't see a situation where the NFL is going to start on time.
Yeah. Either start on time or honestly, I don't know why. So, okay, let me take a step back here. So we're going to talk about the bubble that's going to be coming out, right? So like the bubble for the NHL and the NBA, and they're doing as much as they can to try and keep people basically quarantined, right? They're trying to keep as many people, many of their players, their star players, isolated when they're not actively practicing.
Yeah,
so,
and NHL had 0 positive tests.
That's exactly what I was going to bring up. NHL had 0, and also the NBA had 0. So out of the 450 people that were tested for in NHL and over 100 that were tested for the NBA, not a single person was positive for COVID. So
you know,
why wouldn't the NFL at least consider that? They came out yesterday, and I just read the headline of the article. I didn't click on it, but it was an ESPN article. They said, we're not even going to look at the bubble. We're not even going to think about the bubble. The bubble's not going to exist for the NFL. How can they not at least even consider it or at least think about it?
Yeah, I don't know, especially with the numbers that came out today. But then, of course, the NBA, you got guys that are running off to the strip club.
Right.
Leaving the ball. I can't remember who that was, but somebody. There's been stories of people leaving the bubble or trying to bring women into the bubble. And
yeah, you think that Wilt Chamberlain could have been held in the bubble? I don't think so.
No. He had his own bubble of women.
That's right. He sure did. Or he doesn't know. I think, what did they say? Like over 1,000 or like 10,000 women he slept with in his entire life or something like that.
Yeah, it's in the 5 figures, which is insane. That means you gotta go at it every night multiple times for a long time.
Yes.
To hit that number.
Yeah, that math checks out.
Yeah.
Someone in chat does say that there's at least daily testing for the podcast, or for the for the NFL.
Yeah, there should be daily testing for the podcast too.
Yeah, we should. Yeah, I'll Joe Rogan you and test you right before and after the
I mean,
podcast.
I swear to God, I got it over Christmas.
Yeah, I remember
I was
that.
I was laid up for it was probably a good month that I didn't go out because I was still unemployed at that point too.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like I'm unemployed a lot, but right now I'm in between.
Right.
Right now I'm in between jobs, and then I start at State Farm. It was supposed to be August 17th, and that got pushed back to the 31st. So I got a extended summer vacation. But I was on another vacation for about 7 months, and so luckily, yeah. Otherwise, I would have had no time off because it was the end of the year.
December. Yeah. I swear that I have this cough that I could not get rid of in February, and I swear it was right. It was actually right after the Breaking Benjamin concert that was in Lincoln at Pinnacle Bank Arena.
I was there.
I am convinced that I got it there.
Who opened up? Was that Volbeat?
That was no, Volbeat was with Slipknot.
Oh, so
Breaking Benjamin was with someone. Help me, I don't remember who they were with. But they didn't headline.
Yeah. I don't think I saw Breaking Benjamin
Korn,
recently.
thank you. It was Korn.
Oh no, I wasn't at that one.
Yeah.
No. I was at Volbeat and Slipknot. We skipped all the other bands and drank at
relatable.
25. We got there, I think, right as Volbeat started. I think that might have been the last concert I went to. Was that?
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't remember too many specifics. I remember having a very bad sore throat that was not normal. I get a sinus infection every once in a while. I figured that's what this was just another sinus infection. But it was very painful. I don't think I'd ever had. I don't remember what other things I had with it, but I mean, I basically missed Christmas and New Year's. Didn't get to celebrate either one of those at all. Though I hardly ever celebrate New Year's anymore. It's probably been 5 years, 4 or 5 years. I don't remember.
Well, it was a bad year to celebrate, anyways.
Yeah. So I swear, I think that's what I had because I didn't have it was negative on the flu.
Mm-hmm.
It was negative on a sinus infection. And 90% of my illnesses are sinus infections. I don't ever get a week. I don't ever. It's either all or nothing, and most of the time it's just a sinus infection. So it was something different, and so I have a good feeling that's what it was.
Yeah, which is crazy that you say that it was probably that in December when it hadn't quote unquote got here until January or February when it was starting to pull into like Washington. I think is what Washington State is where it started at.
Well, they had no idea what it was.
No, zero idea. And that was funny. We were talking about this last week. How I think it was like, oh man, it had to be mid-February, like maybe like the 18th or the 17th that I went to that concert. And then by March 11th, the NBA is closing down and March Madness is closed. So I mean, we were within a month that I was there with thousands of people. I remember I hugged a random guy because he ran into me and spilled like a drink and a half of my beer, and he was a really nice guy about it though. He was like, no, I'm so sorry, do I need to buy, like, it was like a long ass line too. He's like, do I need to buy you another beer? I'm like,
yes,
this one was free, it's fine, because my buddy bought it for me. So
the last time I went out was well, I've gone out many times now recently, but
when everything started to calm down,
open back up. The last time I'd went out was like March 2nd, usual Sunday karaoke joint, and then I decided it was getting serious, so I think I quit going out, and then day before St. Patrick's Day it all shut down. So I think it was that was the day before I had started my new job that I was just a contractor at for about 4 months or so.
Mm-hmm.
So it was right before my first day there, and that was the last time I'd went out until things opened back up a little bit.
Yep. Well, it's crazy how things change that fast. I mean, we're kind of numb to it. I wouldn't say I shouldn't. You shouldn't use the word numb to it right now, but we're already starting to feel a little bit sort of like comfort with it. So it felt weird to like go back out. So like on my birthday week, which is like the beginning of June, I did go golfing a few times, which is a perfect way to social distance because there's no way that I'm hitting a ball near anybody else, right?
Yeah.
But we went to a bar afterwards, and it was, like mid-June. So that's when things were starting to slow down a little bit. Things were not as crazy as they, spiked back up and currently are now, and they weren't like crazy at the beginning. But it was weird. It was weird to be out. I swear to God, I almost spilled a beer completely on the ground just because I hadn't been out in public for God knows how long, for a few months. And I literally apologized. I'm like, I'm sorry. This is the first time I've been out, and like I was a dog. Like, this is the first time I've been out in a long time. I'm sorry. Let me get reused to how it is to be outside again.
Yeah. I the first time I had anything was, I went out, once the restaurants opened, I went out and got, something at Buffalo Wings and Rings. And had a big beer and a shot, because it was just it was good to have those drinks with you, and a couple of nights later, we'd go down to Ramos, the local pizza joint, and it was still when the bars weren't open, so we were literally there to just drink. So we would have a slice of pizza in front of us to make it look legal.
Oh yeah, because at that time you couldn't like just be at a bar to just drink. You had to have some kind of food.
Open. Yeah, bars weren't open yet, and but restaurants, Ramos is technically a restaurant still.
Right. Local pizza joint.
Great pizza joint.
Yeah, it is good. Very good.
They never got karaoke back though, but the Sunday joint that I always go to at the Keg, they did bring it back sometime in June. At first, it was kind of like real cautious, where you would just sing. You would just sit at your table and sing. Then it got kind of lax. I thought that would be weird, but it wasn't that weird.
Yeah, I was say it kind of sounds weird from an outside standpoint, but I wasn't there, so who knows?
Yeah, it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. So it was still a fun night.
Yeah, there you go. Plus, just to be out, right?
Yeah. So, but now that was back when we thought things were going to get better, and now it gets worse. So,
yep. Well, hopefully we can come back from this. Like I said, everything's going to change, but we'll bounce back. We always have as humans, right?
Yeah. Well, some of us.
Well, somehow you'll see. We will see. Just want to give a quick shout out to everybody in chat though, because we have a few people here hanging out. Appreciate you guys hanging out, and just saw Wilkie come through with the host, so I appreciate you, buddy. Hope you had a good stream. Everybody in chat that's talked so far. UFO, what's up? How's it going? Viking, Knees Dude, Colby, Elite Titan, all the usuals.
I got the chat pulled up on my phone here.
So. Hey, there we go.
I've been using Twitch a lot more now because I'm trying to get that status,
That's right. Affiliate status.
I used it. Yeah, well, I got the viewer or the followers was the easy part, because I used to do I would do a lot of EA Sports giveaways, and so, but then I got away from Twitch and went to YouTube, and now I kind of want to get back into Twitch. So I got back to Twitch. I even did I've done retro gaming. I did just testing it out, because I'd been asking Devin to help me out with OBS for probably 2 years, back when I was still working on the same team as him at Allstate.
Yeah.
I finally got off my ass and set that up. finally got off my ass and set up the Stream Deck. I've had that thing sitting here for 2 years and never using it. And because we use Zoom for the wrestling podcast, and I can share my audio with the other guys without even having to share the desktop, which worked out perfect.
Yeah,
because I record off of Zoom.
I didn't know that Zoom had recording abilities. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. If you don't host, you got to get permission. Say, hey, can you shoot this to me? Because I do the producing of the show and stuff.
Oh,
but
sure.
Daryl, he's a guy that joined our podcast as a third guy about halfway in, about 2 years ago. He has a Zoom subscription, So the 15 a month or whatever, where you can do on, because if you have 3 or more people, and you don't have the subscription, you're limited to an hour. But our podcast is usually 2 hours long.
Yeah, I was say you guys have run a long podcast, but there's probably a lot to talk about. So
we've done 3 hours before.
That's yeah.
I think our record's 3 hours and 20 minutes, maybe.
Jeez.
But the good thing about Zoom is, because Daryl's been busy with work a lot lately, and that was part of the reason why we took a break. Another reason was a lot of the allegations that came out that we didn't really want to talk. We didn't really want to talk about any of that stuff. Didn't want to speculate. Didn't want to talk about it. So there's a whole list of, there's a couple couple cumulative things of why we had taken a month off. So but I realized Zoom, if you go one-on-one on Zoom, it's unlimited. So that's the good part about that. So so if he's not there, at least me and Matt, the guy that's been with me since the beginning, we can still do an unlimited Zoom recording with 2 of us and not have to have that subscription. So
that's right.
So I busted out the Stream Deck that it's been sitting here collecting dust for 2 years probably. I got it on a Black Friday. And
finally got some sounds on there. Finally got some scene changes probably.
Just soundboard. Just soundboard right now. I haven't looked to see what you can do with it on Zoom yet. And we don't really need to do much we don't really need to do scene changes on Zoom.
Right. Yeah.
I did kind of play with it on Twitch though, and I was trying to do because a new thing I was going to start today, but sleep has been so odd. I went to bed at I fell asleep at 1. I woke up at 4:30 and I couldn't fall back asleep. So
nice.
About 6 o'clock I got up and was setting stuff up. I'm doing a new series. It's going to be both streamed on Twitch, and then I'm going to also put it up on YouTube.
Which you're at JBHuskers on Twitch, right?
Yep, Twitch.
Can we get a shout out, mods?
JBHuskers, as well as YouTube, Twitter. All of it's the same. JBHuskers. Doing so you know where to
find him. Follow him.
Yeah. I the thing I have is a new thing I'm going to try out is called How Many Quarters. It's going to be, how many quarters is it going to take to get through this arcade game, or how many quarters am I spending in an hour of playing this arcade game? And so we're going to do I'm going to do tomorrow at 1:00 Central. I'm going to do Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade game, see how many quarters it takes.
And where are you playing that off of? What are you playing that on again?
I'm playing that on MAME. The MAME arcade emulator.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, and then and then just kind of grab that window from on OBS, and I got a camera on me, and then I got a little counter. I was trying to incorporate the Stream Deck on the counter. Couldn't quite get that to work. But
I'm sure there's a way to do it. There's a lot of different things that you can do with this Stream Deck that I haven't even digged into even further. Basically, I just have where I'm changing scenes, muting my mic if I need to. You can have it say a text in your Twitch chat. So some of the things that I have where it'll type !F, which is for new followers. So if I click it, then it'll type my message that says hey, thanks for following. If I'm in an intense game or something like that, and I see it come through, but I can't acknowledge it yet. Or in this particular example where I'm doing the podcast right now, and I don't really have, I don't try and interact with chat as much as I do when I'm not on the podcast. But when I am doing the podcast, I try and keep it professional and stuff. But it's always fun to talk to chat still.
Yeah, I mess with. That was one of the things I was messing with at 5:00 this morning. Was I set up scene changes. I set up the countdown, kind of like what you got.
Oh yeah.
I got this little animated fancy background, and then just a clock, and then I threw up a screenshot of the Turtles arcade game, and nothing too fancy, but I didn't really realize that was there, and just switching back and forth while you're just clicking. While you're streaming, it's piece cake. So
yeah, it really is a lot easier than people think. But also, it's just hey, you're just. Some people are just oh, you're just streaming, you're just playing games, right? Well, that's not always the case, but Yeah.
When I streamed Skater XL today on PS4, I have a camera. Oh, you can't connect a camera to the PS4. I have an
right.
Elgato though, so I just need to get OBS set up now on a laptop, and then I can bring my camera over.
Yeah, there you go.
Maybe get a little fancier. Right now, just with when I stream on PS4, it's just been just straight up the game, and then I'll have chat up though and interact via chat, but just won't be on the mic. Yeah. If a lot of people hop on, I'll get on the mic maybe, but other than that, I've just kind of been just getting my feet wet once again with Twitch, right. And I did it with Rocket Arena, which just came out, which did not do well at all.
Yeah, is that the like roller skating game where you are like playing Rocket League or something like that? Which one is that?
No, that was I don't know what Destruction All Stars or something.
Oh, okay.
That was a Sony E3 thing. That I don't know when that comes out. I think that might be a PS5. That's a PS5 title.
Oh, okay.
Rocket Arena is 5-on-5. It's just a 5-on-5 multiplayer game. It's not battle royale. There's 2 different game modes. It's fun. It's kind of like a MOBA where you have, your special, you have special things with L1, R1, and stuff like that. But it's 5-on-5. The matches are pretty short. The matches usually range about 5 minutes, but they made the mistake of charging $40 at launch, and I looked at the Steam charts, and they had 250 concurrent players like a week into it.
Oh, that's not very high.
No.
Sounds like a lot of people, but playing one game online, that's not very much.
In the world.
Right, in the world.
So all of a sudden, Best Buy and Amazon had it for $9.99 the other day.
Oh,
already. Somewhere had the PC version for $4.99 already.
Nice.
Whoever made the idea to make it 40 at launch, thinking it would be like Overwatch, should get fired, because that was a terrible decision. It should have been free to play from the beginning.
Well, I think a lot of companies do that, where they just put it out at like maybe at a little bit higher price at launch, but then once they actually maybe get some reports back, they're like, oh, maybe that was a stupid idea.
Yeah, that report. There's no way to see concurrent players on PS4. It'd be cool to see if there was a tool to do that, but I don't. There's none to my knowledge. Obviously, Steam, it's easy to do, and woof, they were way down the list. It's a fun game.
Is it $40 fun?
No.
Got it.
And I'm
Write that down.
I'm glad I paid $0.99 for it.
This whole free 99. That's what we like to see.
My working with EA. Well, it was originally first with EA Sports, but then now it's kind of been encompassing all of EA that I work with. My roles have changed a lot. I used to fly down to Orlando 5 times a year, 6 times a year, go to special events and stuff like that. I don't do that anymore. They kind of switched to influencers, YouTubers, instead of people that actually gave feedback on the game. Mm-hmm. But I still kind of do. I'm still in touch with the community manager for Battlefield, so I'll work a lot with him. And I had a chance to go to Sweden, but didn't have a passport when Battlefield 5 came out. So we still have a good relationship. But
that's good.
Sports titles, a lot has changed since I first started there. I mean, there's no Tiger, there's no college football.
Right. That's what I was going to bring up. So we were just talking a little bit before the podcast started. You said 2008 is when you started with EA?
9. I think it was 9. I think it was the 10 titles is where with Tiger 10 and NCAA football 10. I think that's where I started.
Yeah, either way, that was probably one of the best. I mean, it was probably towards like the latter half of where, EA started getting a little bit of a bad rep, but that is still right in the middle of the heyday of what like EA kind of ran the world for a little bit there. But yeah, it's because they had the Madden games, all the football games, the Tiger Woods games. And then on top of all that, they had was there a Battlefield game at the time? I'm sure there was a bunch of story games that they had coming out too.
Yeah, I was just in the sports there at first, and you
Oh,
hear
okay.
of you hear of the EA Game Changers, and well, I was one of the very first 9 people to be in that program
Wow.
because it was just EA Sports Game Changers, and so I was literally, they talk about the first 9 in Sons of Anarchy, from Sam Crow. I was one of the first 9 people ever to be in the Game Changers program,
Very nice.
and
Very
now
nice.
and now there's 1,600 people that are in it. So
It's like the original Fellowship.
yeah, yeah. Back when it was just a EA Sports thing and not an overall EA thing. So,
So how did that start? Like, did you
um,
have to apply or?
no. My best friend Chris is a moderator. Was a moderator for a forum called Utopia, and what we the main focus of Utopia was college football. Um, and so that was kind of our main focus, and then we talk about other sports titles and other games too, but that was the main thing there. And so he kind of caught the eye, that message board kind of caught the eye of developers at EA, and he had started to go to events, and he had suggested that, well, nobody's really doing a Tiger Woods website, so he's like, he goes, "Hey, I know you play that game a lot." So he said, maybe do a Tiger Woods video game website. And so I set one up on WordPress, and I think it was called the Back Nine blog. And
It's a good
sure
name.
enough, I got down to invited down to EA. I think it was January of '09. And literally within the first hour of being there, the community manager goes, "Hey, you want to come back next month for NCAA football?" I'm like, "Hell yeah."
Yes, I do. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So that's where it all started. And
It's
once NCAA disappeared, I kind of shifted to NBA. Then NBA had its own kind of debacles itself. So
right.
it was, its downfall kind of started with trying to shift to NBA Elite 13, which never got released, and they really never did recover, and they didn't even put out one this year. So
I didn't even remember that. I'll be honest. I didn't play much NBA at that time, and probably 2009, 2010 was the first time I had picked up an NCAA game. I'll admit, but there was I was all Madden then. I was really into all the EA Sports games, and then I had never even heard of that. I mean, I played like NBA Live way back in the day. I don't even know if that is EA. Is it?
yeah, NBA Live's EA.
That's
Yeah.
what I thought. But it's like the 2K was NBA 2K was their own company. They are the ones who really kind of took it and ran with it.
Yeah, yeah. NBA Live 10 was probably the best in the series, and then they decided to, or well, I'm sorry, it was NBA Elite 11, not 13, because
Oh,
NBA Live 10 were coming out. They're coming off. They claimed that the sales were terrible, but it was literally the best game they'd ever put out for NBA Live was NBA Live 10.
huh.
Then they completely scrapped the engine, put out NBA Elite 11, put out a demo, and it was poorly received. The game never came out. Then they tried to go back to live a couple of years later. The first couple of editions of that were completely terrible. Then they were finally kind of starting to rebound a little bit with 18 and 19, but the sales are abysmal for them compared to 2K. So they didn't even put out a 20, and no idea if they'll do it again.
Yep, feels bad. We're being botted in chat, guys. We're
I see
famous.
that. Who wants to be famous?
Who wants to be famous? Pog. Type Pog champ.
Hey, at least that counts towards your stats. So
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. The bots a part of that do not count towards views, unfortunately, but
even and their chats don't count either.
well, there's not really like stats for chats or
Engagement.
anything like that. So yeah, I mean, there's like it's not like I don't know if YouTube has it. I'm still really new into the YouTube game, but yeah, they not really as much of a thing. Basically, what Twitch worries about is not really worries about, but like how many concurrent viewers you have, how long people are watching for, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But take it back to the EA here. That totally got me off a complete tangent right there. So you're still working with them, but you're just doing a little bit of a different things now.
Yeah. I went to like my last trip was 2 years ago when I went to EA Play during E3 week down in LA. That was a blast, man. Rooftop parties, $600 a night hotel. It was awesome. I haven't been down to Orlando in probably 2.5 years. I think the last time I was down there was when I was working with Madden Mobile. Yeah, so I'm still a game changer. So now I kind of just do videos post launch. We'll get codes for all the EA games, and in return we put out a video with watermarks and branding and stuff, and such like that. So yeah, it's the relationship has changed a lot, especially management's changed a lot since then too. It's changed to a whole different set of people. So if NCAA, now that money is starting to creep into NCAA, maybe NCAA comes back.
I think it's a slam dunk for it to come back. There's no reason why they shouldn't at this point, other than the fact, I guess, they might lose some revenue to the people that they have to pay for the, likeness that they're literally using in the game. That's my only thought process, is that they might have to pay some people, but I mean, they still have to pay NFL athletes for Madden. So what's the problem?
Yeah, I don't know.
And an NCAA game today would break the market.
Well, shit. The NCAA 14 was the last NCAA game to come out, and right now you got to pay $150 in order to buy that game right now.
Yep.
It's insane how much that game is worth right now.
It's ridiculous. I think that I have the last one that I had was either 10 or 12, and I know I still have that sitting around somewhere. But I mean, that's
I've got 14 at least for PS3 and Xbox 360, so I know I have 2 copies of it.
Well, hey, ever getting a real tight pinch there?
Yeah,
someone will buy it.
I don't really play Xbox much anymore, but there's a rumor that they might. There's a rumor that Xbox Live Gold might go free. They're pushing the Ultimate so much, the Game Pass.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so there's rumors that Gold might be free.
Like completely free, or like free with Xbox Live or something like that?
Well, Xbox Live Gold is basically just your gateway to be able to play multiplayer, I guess, and get discounts. But they're pushing Game Pass so heavily that there's that rumor out there now.
Gotcha. Yeah, I haven't. I'm very. Once again, I know I'm a PlayStation person from the beginning to the end. I probably had an Xbox for a short period of time, maybe within like 3 years. So that was why I was confused when you said that. But they have Game Pass on PC now. You can buy it on PC and play most of the games that they have available for Xbox.
Yeah. I just let my subscription run out like a year or two ago, because I'm like 99% playing on PS4 and barely touching the Xbox. So I let that run out, and I'm definitely not buying both consoles like I did with. It was almost I had some deal on Amazon that I couldn't refuse, and then there was also a pricing error, and so literally 3 months after release of the Xbox One, I got the system and a Kinect and a game, 2 games, and it was like $250. I'm like, okay, I'll do this. And
twist my arm.
But yeah, no, I'm not getting both. Not in the near future, if at all.
Are you planning on getting the PS5 when it drops, though?
Oh yeah, day one.
That's what I was thinking too. I was hoping it'd be fully backwards compatible, but apparently that's not going to be a thing. So I'm disappointed in you yet again, Sony.
Yeah, I wish the top 100 PS4 games will be at launch, but
Right.
So like I play Call of Duty Modern Warfare with some friends in Pennsylvania. Usually we get on Friday and Saturday night, and so that'll probably be on there. That'll be on PS5. I mean, I don't know what else will be on there, but probably Last of Us 2, which I beat. Right now I'm working on going for the platinum trophy on that.
That's right. You're a platinum hoarder, aren't you?
Not yes and no. I have like 22 of them, but I don't go out of my way to go get them.
Sure.
If I did, I would have a lot more than 22 right now with all the games I own.
That's true. You're not wrong.
I own way too many games, and I'll never get to play them all. And then I bought one today. It was Skater XL, and then Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 Remastered came out today free. For PS Plus. They dropped that free a week early.
For PS Plus, it came out?
Yeah.
Modern Warfare 2?
Remastered, yeah.
What?
Yeah.
All right, I have things I have to do after this podcast.
And it dropped today instead of next week.
I didn't even know. I don't even know when they drop, honestly. I still have it.
Well, it's usually the first Tuesday of the month, but...
Oh, is that what it is? Okay.
And they usually announce August titles the Wednesday before that first Tuesday, but for some reason they announced it real early. Well, I guess August. Well, no, the first Tuesday in August will be a week from today. So Modern Warfare Remastered, Modern Warfare 2, which is just the campaign. It's not online, which sucks. I wish, oh God, that was probably the best Call of Duty outside of maybe 4. And I'm really liking the newest Call of Duty too. But
yeah, just the campaign's fine. I mean, you can't expect a whole, well, they have put out some good games on PlayStation Plus, I will admit, that have been for free.
I saw what was out for Games with Gold this month. Holy crap, it was night and day. It was like MX Unleashed and some other crap. It was terrible. But there's Call of Duty 4. They remastered that, and that was online as well as the campaign. And unfortunately, 2 is just the campaign. I would really love to see remaster online a 2.
But I feel like they're just gonna lump it in with, especially with how successful Modern Warfare has been. Yeah. I feel like they're just gonna lump it in with that because there are even maps from Modern Warfare 2. From my understanding, someone correct me if that's wrong. From Modern Warfare 2, there are maps that are at least in Verdansk, which is on the Warzone part of it. So I mean, they're at least there, but I feel like that's what they might drop with the next season or maybe the season after that. Who knows? Maybe they'll just lump it together. I don't know.
Well, and they've been so mom with this year's title, it makes you wonder. I don't know. I mean, they very well, there's no way they're not putting out a title this year, but you never know.
I think I just heard from actually my moderator Fap, my friend Fap, that someone dropped it. Someone released it. I think it was like Doritos released it on accident or something like that, and they are coming out with the new one, and it's like Modern Warfare, like Ice Cold War or something like. I don't remember what it was. Black Ops Cold War, that's what it is.
Yeah, it's going to be a Treyarch title this year.
Yeah.
And they did a great job with Black Ops 4.
They did.
And Warzone was a lot of fun, which was the first Call of Duty to have Battle Royale.
Blackout.
Speaking of or Blackout, yeah. Speaking of Battle Royale, that's the other PlayStation Plus game that's coming next week. I can't remember the title, but it looks fun as hell. It's 60 little gummy bears, and you're trying to get from point A to point B with a bunch of obstacles. And you've got to finish you got to get across the finish line within top 30 or whatever to move on to the next map. And I watched this guy play it on YouTube, and it looks fun as hell.
That does look fun. It sounds like a mix of Tetris 99 and
it's called
a mini game in Super Mario Party.
It's called Fall Guys Ultimate Knockout, and yeah, it's basically these gummy bears racing from point A to point B with a shitload of obstacles. And like if you get knocked off the map, you got to start back over, and you got to, place in the top so much, and then you move on to the next map, and then eventually you get to the point where you got to grab the crown to win the whole thing with your with the group of 60 that you started with.
And that's the next free game on PlayStation Plus.
Yeah, and it's a brand new game, so
that's
not
a stream game.
Yet.
We'll be streaming that one. That's gonna happen.
It's the first one in a while that has come out brand new on PS Plus. I remember obviously long time ago, but Rocket League is debuted on PS Plus. Which is amazing.
I did not know that.
Yeah. I paid nothing for Rocket League on PlayStation. So
nice.
Because it was a PS Plus title when it was released, and look how much money it made.
Yeah, I thought I heard from Buckus James that recently it's gonna change. Rocket League is gonna be free to play. It's gonna be on the Epic Store coming up here, and then it's also gonna be, well, it's already crossplay, but there was something else with it where you could play it. Something was gonna be happening where it's gonna be free to play, which might do some bad for it, but it also, hey, it might bring a lot of people in to play it too.
Well, they made their money, so
yeah. Say we've already made our money. Maybe that's the play right there, because there are games like PUBG right now that you did have to pay like $30 to play it to start. But what if PUBG was just free to play now?
Yeah. It's a chance you take, but
yeah.
I think I saw a documentary or something on the company. There were like 10 people when this game came out, maybe 8 people when that game came out
on Rocket League.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
That studio was real small, and now it's gigantic. So
it all has to start with an idea, and that was a brilliant idea. Soccer with cars is a great idea.
I haven't played it in forever, and I wish I would have played it more, but it's impossible to play everything.
Yeah, it's impossible to play everything. And I actually was in a Rocket League, well, like, I'm going to call it a tournament because it was a tournament. It was like a 64 team tournament that we were in like 2 weekends ago. And there was no like, you have to be this particular like level or anything like that. It was just, hey, join. It's all for charity. It's all going to be fun. Well, it was me, Andrew, and my buddy John that joined. And it was a 3v3 tournament, and we just got railed. These people that are in there were easily like high diamond or like low champ level, and we just got absolutely steamrolled. But from what I've heard, though, there's so basically what I'm trying to say is the skill gap is if you don't play the game all the time, if you're not grinding it all the time, the skill gap is super, super big in that game.
Yeah.
And I think I remember from a long time ago, people were talking about the first season of the Rocket League, like championship series or whatever. There was, if you were to watch it today, like me and you could beat a team of like 3, just like, because there was no jumping, no aerials, no anything. It was just everybody's hitting the ball on the ground, or sometimes maybe hitting it off the wall. That's it.
Yeah. It's been years since I've played that game.
That's a fun one. It is a fun one. But we just always play for fun now because we're that's the only game that James will play with us, so it's the one we have to get him on.
Yeah, he isn't doing the Call of Duty anymore.
Yeah, I mean, he does the Call of Duty, but he refuses to turn on aim assist when we play Call of Duty, so he just gets railed every time with us mouse and keyboard players. So
yeah.
It's pretty crazy. So I feel like we haven't talked a whole lot about retro gaming. We kind of touched on it a little bit there. And one question I used to ask people when they first got on this podcast was what was like the first game you remember playing, or like the first system you remember playing on. So I'm curious to see what yours is.
Yeah, well, the first system I ever owned was NES. And so obviously the first games were Super Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt.
Right. Didn't that come with the system?
Yeah.
So there you go. Well, there it is.
I still have it today. I don't think none of my games are worth anything on the NES, but I do have a Super Nintendo game that is worth about $200.
Which one's that?
Earthbound.
Oh, nice.
I don't know how Mom got it or where she got it, but yeah, I saw it in Nintendo Power and asked her for it, and she got it somehow.
Yeah.
So I wish I still had the box and manual. Everybody threw the boxes away back then,
Right.
so I still wish I had my or my Nintendo Powers. I thought I had them somewhere, but I think those got thrown away too. Maybe when I went to college or something, or
Right.
that's another thing I wish. Thankfully, the Internet Archive, archive.org, has the first 88 or 89 issues of Nintendo Power on PDF, so that's kind of cool to go back and.
Wow.
It was a bummer, but so it was right around 88 or 89. It was right when Nintendo Power started, so that'd have been right about the time I got the Nintendo. I think it was probably for Christmas, and I remember getting the first issue of Nintendo Power and was a subscriber for a fair amount of time into the Super Nintendo days, so maybe into 92 or 93 maybe, because Super Nintendo came out in 91. So I had the NES.
So that's a great start. We'll just put that there. Great first game to ever play.
Yeah, Super Mario Brothers, and then Duck Hunt, and then I had Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which is a notoriously hard game.
Mm-hmm. Have you seen anybody ever speedrun that game before?
No, I have not watched that.
You'd probably be tainted if you watched it. I'm not gonna lie. It tainted me, and I don't even really like. I'll play the game at the barcade downtown, but someone speedran that game and they were like clipping out of bounds and stuff, and I was like, it's ruined. Everything's ruined.
Oh. I hate that Play Choice 10 because it's so ridiculous that you're playing on a counter.
Yeah.
I was watching. I'm a big game show freak, and that's one of the things I do on Twitch. I tried once was live streaming the game show channel Buzzer, because you can live stream on their website. So I was live streaming there a couple hours. That was a lot of fun. So I'm gonna probably do that again sometime.
Is that allowed?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean,
for the Twitch TOS, I don't know. It seems.
Yeah, as long as I think as long as Buzzer doesn't mind, I guess. But yeah. I mean, it's on the internet for free. It's not like it's cable. It's
that's fair.
It's a streaming channel. Your only other ways to be able to watch it besides their website is you can do it through the Pluto TV app or Stir, which is almost exactly like Pluto, if you're familiar with those. So I was watching a Classic Concentration with Alex Trebek on there. Those are on at noon and 12:30, and one of the prizes on there was the Play Choice 10. But at the same bar you're talking about, I remember playing Mike Tyson's Punch-Out on that Play Choice 10 machine. And it sucked because there's all these cutscenes in between fights with the stats and everything, and your clock still keeps ticking.
Yeah.
So I'm not a fan of the Play Choice 10, but
that's how they get you. You ever seen? Yeah. I'm sure you've seen Wayne's World, where you're talking about Noah's Arcade. It's like you can't get past the first level, but kids will keep pumping quarters into it.
Yeah. So I never beat Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles ever in my life. So that's going to maybe be a potential Twitch stream down the line, is trying to beat Turtles for the first time in my life. I don't think I ever even got to the Technodrome when I was a kid. There's 6 levels. Technodrome is the 6th level. I think I never could get past level 5. Late last night I was itching to play it, so I have a RetroPie box hooked up to the TV, and so I was playing it, and it's like, I could barely get past the first level. So there's going to be a lot of save states involved with emulation in order to try to beat this for the first time. But that'll probably be an upcoming stream here on my Twitch channel, is in addition to my new series with the how many quarters it'll take, which was kind of just an idea that popped into my head randomly a month or so ago. And so...
Yeah, and I would just like to say that is a great idea. That is an absolute great idea right there. Just like, how basically what you're doing is you're not only challenging yourself, but you're also challenging people who maybe don't think you can do it.
Yeah, I was watching this guy. I was new to his channel a couple of nights ago. He's actually a quadriplegic right now, but he still makes videos,
Oh
which is
wow.
insane.
Yeah.
He does history videos of arcade machines and then shows gameplay of all the ports of those games. And one was one of my favorite all-time games is Gauntlet, and that is a massive quarter eater. So that's going to be on my that will be on my how many quarters segment, which will premiere on Twitch. Then I'll eventually port it over to YouTube
Yeah.
down the line. Gauntlet, that'll be more of a how many quarters do I spend in an hour type of deal, because that's such a there's so many levels in that game. Like there's 100 levels I think in that game, so I don't know if I want to sit down and beat it. But like with Turtles, it takes 2 hours to beat, so that's that's something like I was gonna do today, but I'm actually gonna do tomorrow afternoon at 1 o'clock. uh I remember, I don't know how familiar you are with Nintendo, but the Atari company Tengen had unlicensed games for the Nintendo. Uh, Nintendo has a on their cartridges has a lockout chip, which prevents unauthorized third party companies to make games for the system. So it has to all funnel through Nintendo.
Uh-huh.
A lot of that came because of Atari not having this, and the market was flooded with so much crap, and that was what kind of caused the video game crash of '83. So
That I'm not even familiar with that.
oh yeah, and so Nintendo. I'll give you a little history lesson. Nintendo, when it tried to go into the U.S. market in '85, you remember Rob the Robot at all?
Is that the one? I think I remember that from AVGN.
Yeah,
Is that one where it like switches
yeah.
automatically switches the thing? Okay, yeah.
So basically, they put together a package with the NES to have this robot and make it seem like a toy, because video games were so frowned upon on retailers after Atari caused the crash in '83. 2 years later, nobody else still did not want to get into video games. So Nintendo marketed this as a toy, but slid under the table the fact that we're selling you a video game system.
Right, yeah.
And that's how they had to play it off to retailers at first.
Oh my goodness.
And so, but they had this lockout chip, and the Atari company Tengen reverse engineered to be able to get around the lockout chip. The cartridges were black and had a little angle at the end of them instead of boxed off like the gray Nintendo cartridges.
Uh-huh.
The most famous one is Tetris, because the Tengen version of Tetris had to be pulled from shelves due to some other kind of copyright with Tetris itself, I think it was. So that's a very expensive cartridge in itself. But I owned a few Tengen. I owned Gauntlet, the NES port of Gauntlet, and a racing game called Super Sprint, were the two I remember on those black cartridges. And of course, I had Legend of Zelda.
Sure. Yeah.
The beautiful gold cartridge.
Right.
Tecmo Super Bowl. I played the living shit out of that game. It was so funny when you're a kid, or teenage, going into a teenage years, where you could play a game like Tecmo Super Bowl and you're never going to get beat because it's not that hard of a game.
Right.
But yet you still play it constantly. And I don't know how many seasons of Ken Griffey Jr. baseball I played. 162 game seasons where I would win almost every time, yet I still played all the way through multiple seasons, and it was insane. But
times changes when you're a kid, man. I mean, you know that you just start playing something and you find something you enjoy, and it's your entertainment. So
yeah, well, I mean, video game companies can't get away with a 45-minute game.
Yeah, they don't do that anymore.
But of course, we replayed the shit out of them. It didn't matter. But today we beat a game like Last of Us 2. We may go back and try to collect everything, but after that, probably won't play it again unless a remaster comes out 5 years later.
Right. On the next gen console, or maybe the next gen console, and then something comes out.
Yeah, like I ran through the first Last of Us on the remastered before 2 came out. So I ran through that just to kind of refresh my mind on the story and everything. So
did you? I need to play that one because I do have the remaster of that one too. Do you think that? And how do I phrase this without making it sound weird? Do you think that? Do you think that games? So you just kind of said that maybe there's like a 40-minute game that you just constantly replayed when you were a kid, and now things are completely different. And you did say the example of The Last of Us 2. I think that's going to be a bit of a far example of what we're going to maybe talk about here. But do you think that games over time have gotten better? And that's where it kind of gets awkward because it's, better is kind of subjective or subjective, not objective, right? So do you think games have gotten better as the years go on, or do you think that they, old retro games, the NES, all that stuff, that was the golden age, nothing's changed with that? Or do you think that maybe we've gone too far with how gaming is?
As a whole, this has been probably the best generation of gaming ever. PS4 and Xbox One has put out just tremendous games. It's funny because I see this a lot with some of the people I watch a lot with, like Pat the NES Punk, Angry Video Game Nerd on Cinemassacre.
Mm-hmm.
Some of these games that we were completely enthralled in are, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on the NES, GoldenEye on the Nintendo 64. I mean, we played the living shit out of that in college. You go back now, that's a terrible game. The way the controls work, the way how fluid the game. GoldenEye is not good, but yet in 2000 we thought it was God.
Right.
So obviously games have gotten better. They get what I don't like is when it gets too cinematic. I do like the games where it's more like an interactive movie, like Heavy Rain. I do like those, but I think sometimes it does get a little too cinematic instead of focusing on the gameplay. I think Death Stranding is a very big example of that. At its core, Death Stranding, I don't know how far I'm into it, but I'm probably 20 hours. I have put it down and never got back to it, but I probably put 20 hours into it. And I just saw Fap's comment.
Yeah.
Heavy Rain is bad. Don't at me.
Yeah. Fap is the chat troll. He's also the head moderator, so he's one of those.
It's a good story, but I want to play a game, not watch a movie. Like, I know Kojima with Metal Gear Solid 5, there was a 45-minute cutscene. Like, what the fuck? I don't want to sit here for 45 minutes. I want to progress through this game. The game I've probably spent the most time in my life is probably Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion.
Yeah, sure. And
I've probably spent 600 hours on that game. No joke, 600 hours. I've probably played through it 3 or 4 times on Xbox 360, PS3, PS4. I think had a remastered edition, not PS4. I can't remember off the top. I put, there's not much in terms of cutscenes. They added a little bit more on Skyrim, but it's not overwhelming like it is on like Kojima games. And so
right.
but overall I think this generation has produced some of the best games out there, and it's definitely gotten better, and retro is making a comeback. There are a lot of 8-bit, 16-bit games out there that are brand new
games that are coming out that are in side-scrolling platforming 8-bit games. This is incredible.
Or Metroidvania games like Bloodstained. Those Bloodstained games are some of the best ones around right now. And so you go back and there's a lot of rough games on the NES, and it got better on the Super Nintendo. But then like some of the stuff on the 64, it does not. A lot of the 64 games do not play well today.
Mm-hmm.
Mario Kart and Mario 64, maybe the wrestling games, the WWF games from back then. But a lot of the 64 does not translate well today. So you got to say that it has evolved and gotten better.
Yeah. Ocarina of Time doesn't play too bad, which would, in my mind, mean that Majora's Mask doesn't play too bad either. So, and I
Yeah,
recently replayed those, and the only awkward thing about playing an N64 game today is why the fuck are there prongs, three handles to hold on to when
I bought
I
a
only need two?
USB. Yeah, I bought a USB 64 controller a while back to play. As I think I have the whole 64 collection on ROMs. So I
Oh,
bought
there you go.
I bought a 64 USB controller for like $15 off of Amazon, and it works just fine. But yeah, that
There
is
you go.
probably the most god awful controller they ever made.
I've always argued that the 64 and the PS2 were one of I think my favorite consoles. I don't know about best consoles of all time, but at least tied for first with my favorite consoles. The only thing that's making the N64 not be the number one is that fucking controller. I swear to God it is.
Yeah. And like I think PS4 is what I've got the most games on. I did play a lot of PS3. I did not play a lot of PS2. Outside of some sports titles, I played a lot of poker in that era. I played a lot of PS1. That was start of college, basically, is when the PS1 came out. I loved Gran Turismo. I put many hours in Gran Turismo, and
Mm-hmm.
I love the Resident Evil series.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, I think PS4 is probably has been my favorite in terms of consoles. But you know, it's great to go back though, because there are a lot of good Nintendo games still, NES games still out there, and Super Nintendo games. But yeah, like the Zelda series, I really didn't play those. I need to go back and play. Like I obviously I played one. I didn't really play two. I played Link's Awakening on Game Boy, which is tremendous. So I bought the remastered version of that on
I
Switch,
was gonna say
and
that's the one that was remastered, right? And it was.
yeah, and I brought Breath of the Wild. I haven't gotten around to playing it yet, but I never did play any of the Super Nintendo. And then I didn't own a 64 or a GameCube. So
Oh wow.
I briefly owned a Wii, but literally I've not really played Nintendo until I bought my Nintendo Switch Lite back in January.
Nice. Yeah. I got a Switch. I wouldn't say I wanted to initially say that I kind of got bullied into getting a Switch, but I didn't. It was on my own. I just got it. But one of the games that I got it with was the remaster of the Pokemon first game, the Pokemon Let's Go or whatever.
Yeah.
On from the remaster from the original first gen game, which is the one that I played the shit out of. So I was like, all right, I got to do it. And then it turned out to be a great game.
Yeah, I don't. I was wondering if I would buy it and not play it, but I have played a lot of Switch.
Yeah.
I played a lot of Animal Crossing. I over 100 hours, but like I haven't touched that in about a month now. It got stale quick, but still,
Yeah.
I got my money's worth out of it. I buy a lot of the retro game collections and stuff and arcade.
That's right. Yeah.
I like to buy like I just recently bought Donkey Kong arcade archives. Double Dragon was on sale.
Oh, nice.
The
Nice.
SNK collection. So I have a lot of retro games that are on the Switch, as well as a lot of obviously the obvious first party titles, Mario Kart, Super Mario Odyssey, which is being considered as one of the best Mario games ever. With its long list, and and some other games. I know I have Pokemon. I'm not a big Pokemon fan. I was a little too old for that. But I did get the Dungeon DX game, the remaster that came out not too long ago.
Nice. Yeah, there's so much out there. Every time I go on Steam, every time they have a summer sale or something like that, I always go in there. I always go buy stuff, and guess what? It just sits in my Steam library, just waiting to be downloaded. So that's what I've decided. Where I was like, at least for the last few months of streaming, I've just been like, all right, here, I'm just gonna play it on stream, get it, not like get it over with, but finish it. So say I can finish it, and let's get to the next game, which whatever may be.
Yeah, I bought a lot of Steam games when I first bought this computer several years ago. It's starting to get old now, but there's not a good video card on this computer, so
Gotcha.
I just don't like playing on PC much. So I do have quite a few in my library that I probably never touched, but my computer could barely run 7 Days to Die or Daisy or something like that.
Nice.
I formatted this computer a while back just because it was causing nothing but problems, and I mainly just used it for the podcast, and that was it. But now I'm doing a lot more streaming, so I'm now playing ROMs and stuff on there, and I'm using OBS. But
we got to get you a gaming PC, brother. We got to get you one.
I know. I was like, that one Andrew had that he kept getting made fun of for the price he was asking.
Yeah.
I just don't see myself gaming on PC much now. Maybe if my Twitch channel takes off, and I start work at start work here at the end of August, where I'm making a decent amount of money, and I got a side gig doing Kino, which was tremendous. I mean, I had $400 in tips in 2 nights last week. So
there you go.
Yeah, so it kind of takes the burden off of not working until the end of August, but so once I start working regularly again, it maybe I'll consider it. But I almost reinstalled Steam though the other day, because on sale was this game called Cthulhu Saves Christmas, and it was like I think it's one of 2 different games, and it's a 16-bit RPG, and it looks tremendous. But a lot of and it's so funny because like I play a shitload of indie games on the PS4. You do not want to know how many games I have installed on my 12. I have a 12 terabyte hard drive. I got a 4 terabyte on you remember the Nyko data drive that you could attach to the top?
Long time ago, yes.
And you could insert a desktop hard drive into that instead of a laptop hard drive. I have a 4 terabyte of that, and then an 8 terabyte external on my PS4. So I have 12 terabytes, and I've had to start deleting stuff. So that tells you how many games I have. And but I play a lot of indie games on PS4, but Metacritic doesn't have much to see if it's a good game or not. So a lot of times I'll go to Steam and look at their reviews if it's mostly positive or overwhelmingly positive. Like an example, Graveyard Keeper, which is one of the games I just got a platinum trophy on the other day, which sucked because
not a platinum chaser though.
No, I'd have more than 22 if I was a platinum chaser. I would have a lot more than 22 platinum trophies.
No, I'm just giving you shit.
I know. So I do go to Steam a lot to look at reviews because there's so many indie games being ported over to the PS4. Graveyard Keeper is one of them. Pissed me off though because my profile or something glitched, so I wasn't getting trophies on it, so I had to replay it, and I put in so many more hours just to get to where I could platinum it. I was getting so tired of the game.
Nice. My new microphone apparently does some things sometimes where it will make my voice sound a lot lower. Like,
yeah, really it is now. I saw that.
I was wondering if it was going to do that.
Yeah, I see it in the chat, and as you're talking, I notice it now. Yeah, looks
Nice.
like you're gonna have to. I know we talked last night. It's like, hey, you may have to go into my new setup with the XLR mic and a mixing board.
You have to do something. I might actually have to like invest in that then.
Yeah. Well,
it apparently sounds good though. It sounds a little deeper. Makes me sound a little bit more professional. So that's a positive.
Yeah, it's like a parody of yourself.
Well, good enough. I don't take myself seriously anyway, so that's positive.
It does sound weird. Yeah.
Well, I'll have to figure out some kind of editing for that. I tried to reset it, but apparently that didn't work either. So I guess y'all are just gonna have to deal with my deep, deep voice for the rest of the podcast here.
Well, we're about to the end of it anyway.
Yeah,
So
we're about there anyways. I do want to
seriously,
ask you if you saw did you see Joe Rogan's clip about gaming that was
no.
rolling around on Twitter?
I heard about. I saw the headline where he was calling it a waste of time, but all I did
Yeah.
was I saw the headline, didn't see much else besides that. Probably didn't want to anyway. So
Yeah, and I made the mistake of commenting. Well, I didn't comment. I retweeted two things about it. One was from the actual quote from, it was like a minute and a half clip or something like that where he's talking about how video gaming itself just doesn't it doesn't get you anywhere, which I guess he has a point when he says something like that, but he's looking
ask
at it from
Ninja. Ask Ninja if it gets him anywhere.
well, and that's exactly who I re-commented on about the second time. And even Ninja was like, I see where he's coming from, but I know he's not getting it right. And then Ninja went on to just ramble for a minute and a half about absolutely nothing in his entire like video long that he decided to do. So I had to comment on it how, and let's take a step back here and just think about Joe Rogan in the first place, right? Joe Rogan is the top 1% of the platform he's on, podcasting, right? He's never going to do another podcast where there's only 20 people listening, or he'll never do a live show or something like that where there's only 20 people there. That is something that unless he wants to make it where it's just a certain amount of people that are doing that, whatever. But there's a problem that him and then him with Ninja also commenting on that. You have a top 1% person commenting on a top 1% take, and it didn't seem like it was anything to me. It seemed like Ninja was talking like, okay, I get what he's saying, but not really true. But it kind of is true, but it's also not. But it can be, but not always. But basically, what Joe Rogan said was, Joe Rogan, by the way, an actual video game addict who had to quit playing video games because it was going to ruin his life, was totally addicted to Quake. He basically said that, like, hey, if you're just play video games for 3 years, it is what it is, right? But if you go and do taijutsu for every day for 3 years, you're going to own your own academy and you're going to have this awesome car and you're going to have a cool family and all that stuff. Video games are just going to be nothing. And that's basically what he was saying. But I think that Joe Rogan is so far from maybe the original grind that it's a little bit out of touch. It was a cold take in the first place, but I think it was a little bit out of touch going beyond that.
I mean, there's a lot of things you could say are a waste of time. You go to a strip club and drop $60 within 5 minutes.
Never done that before.
Or you could go and buy Elder Scrolls Skyrim for $60 and put 200 hours into the thing. Right. So it's definitely not a waste of time. It's how you value your entertainment.
And especially with everything changing now, like all these communications.
Every system. I probably should have waited, but I wanted a PS2 Slim and I bought one off eBay, but I bought one for what price charting was saying it was. So I didn't get ripped off and that, but, Wii's and N64s, the prices are insane now. No game store can hold a console right now, no matter what it is. It doesn't matter what it is. Somebody just wants to hook something up to their TV. There's going to be a million N64s probably traded back into game shops within the next year because so many people bought them, but now they're going to no longer play them once things open up again.
Right. And also just for everything that you can do online now, just like, if you're playing like a random game of Warzone and you're playing just a random game with random quads and you 4 guys have a connection during that game and you're like, oh, well, let's keep playing for the whole night, right? Then you have a good time and then you're playing the next time that you guys are all on and it just, snowballs from there. You have a legitimate friendship.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, you can't also just think that video games are just a waste of time when it comes to just that. You're creating friendships, you're creating relationships, you're creating so much other stuff. So that's why I had to bring it up. The whole Twitter gaming Twitch community totally blew this whole Joe Rogan thing out of proportion, and I had to bring it up. but you know.
Yeah, it's like the Pennsylvania friends I play with every weekend. I've not met any of them.
Oh, that's
One
crazy. I didn't know that.
one of the guys was a member of that NCAA football forum that we were on.
Wow.
15. I mean, probably starting about 14 years ago. A couple years before I started working with EA. He was on that forum, and then we created our own forum, which is the gamingtailgate.com, which is still in existence, but the forums are kind of dead. But my buddy Chris still uses it for to do gaming news and stuff like that. I don't have as much involvement with that as anymore as I used to, but we jumped ship because the mods, they were assholes, and we were tired of it, so we created our own site.
There you go.
And he came over, so I had known him all throughout those times, and we played Battlefield, I think is where it started off. We played, and then we started playing Call of Duty because some people that he met, I think we might have met in Fortnite, and they were kind of from around that area. There might have been friends of a friend or something, and yeah,
Right.
so now this group we play almost every weekend now. So
yeah. So my opinion, saying video games get you nowhere is a cold take, but you know, I'm just one guy on the internet.
Yeah,
Who knows?
exactly.
Who knows? All right. So we're at hour 20, or at a minute 20 we've been talking now. An hour 20 we've been talking now. Let's close it up here. Once again, where can people find you at?
You can find me on Twitch, JBHuskers. Again, I will be doing my Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. How many quarters will it take to beat the game? 1 o'clock Central, and that'll probably take about 2 hours. You can find me on YouTube, also JBHuskers. The podcast is Lost in the Midcard. You can find it on Spotify, any podcasting app. Lost in the Midcard on YouTube now is for the past couple of months. We are now doing video where we hadn't done it for 200 and some odd episodes. On Twitter, I'm at JBHuskers. You can also follow the podcast at LITMC Podcast. And I think that covers it all.
Got it. All right. Did you have to write all that down to spit it
No,
all out there?
I hosting a podcast for 260 episodes. You kind of get it down pretty quick.
That's right. That's right. Well, appreciate you being on the show. You know, any final thoughts?
Thanks for having me on, and let's do it again sometime.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. All right, brother. Once again, thank you for being on. I'm going to mute you in Zencaster. You can chill in there for a few minutes. I'm just going to close up and do all my closing stuff here. I'll be back, or you can just close it out. You know, whatever you want to do.
All right, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, appreciate you. All right. And everybody here on the Tater Talks podcast, I want to thank everybody here in the Twitch chat. And this is a deep, sexy Tater boy voice speaking right now, apparently. You can find me at Twitter, at TaterBoy09. Also on YouTube. That's the big one right now I'm trying to push, is at YouTube. So if anyone can do exclamation YT in the chat, I would really appreciate that, because we're really trying to get that up to 100 subs so we can have youtube.com/TaterBoy09, because that'd be really cool. So sub to that. It's free sub, completely free. Obviously here on Twitch, at twitch.tv/TaterBoy09. That's where we do the live shows every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. Where else can you follow? On Facebook is the last place you can follow, at Tater Talks, the podcast, and the podcast is available on all the platforms. And also, if you want to find it one-stop shop, you can type in tatertalks.buzzsprout.com, and it'll be everywhere for you. Appreciate everybody hanging out. Hope you guys have a good rest of your day, good rest of your week. This is TaterBoy09 signing off, reminding you that a minute spent in this chat is a wasted minute. So let's make it a damn good time. And I hope you had a damn good time this evening. Thank you.